From ABC Sports Control New York, Frank Gifford.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to ABC Sports Control. I'll be your host for the few remaining weeks of winter and on into the spring. In just a few moments, we'll be switching live to Miami, Florida for this week's stop on the Professional Bowlers Tour. And after bowling, on ABC's Wide World of Sports, you'll be transported halfway around the world to Moscow for the skills of the world's greatest gymnasts competing in the World Men's Gymnastics Championships, an event that produced more perfect scores of 10 than any gymnastics competition ever. Also live from Hialeah Park in Florida, it's horse racing, the Flamingo Stakes, an important race on the road to the Kentucky Derby. 3 of the last 7 Flamingo Stakes champions have gone on to win the Kentucky Derby. This telecast, by the way, will be blacked out in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties in Florida. All coming up. And, of course, I'll be here throughout the day to keep you up to date on the rest of the news in sports. Now, let's get started with the Professional Bowlers Tour. I spent the last 4 weeks in Florida covering the superstars, and I can tell you there are no signs of winter there. Hope you enjoy our afternoon.
After enduring one of the coldest winters in recent memory, the Professional Bowlers Association headed to warmer climates this week as the pros traveled to Miami, where some of the bowlers took a day off to enjoy the sun and fun offered in this tropical setting. Palmer Falgren and his wife Lisa took advantage of the sandy beaches on Key Biscayne. United States Open champion Dave Husted and wife Michelle enjoyed taking a few snapshots of one of the local aviary residents. Mike Albee and Steve Neff temporarily traded bowling for golf. Nice stroke, Steve. At the Miami Seaquarium, Michelle and Lisa got an unexpected kiss from Salty the sea lion. Lolita the killer whale gave the guys a kiss of another kind and an unexpected shower. And finally, the day of sightseeing and fun came to a fitting close with a toast to the sun. ABC Sports presents live the final round of the $100,000 Greater Miami Sunshine Open, where these 5 bowlers will compete for the $13,000 top prize. In 5th place, seeking his first win since 1978 from Ukiah, California, Jeff Mattingly. In 4th place from O'Fallon, Illinois, Paul Gibson. In our second match today, you'll see one of the rising young stars on the tour from Florissant, Missouri, Pete Weber. The number 2 qualifier from nearby Tamarack, Florida, Storm DeVincent. And the tournament leader with 1 PBA title from Fairway, Kansas, Bob Handley. That's our field today on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Live, you're looking at the lanes here at the Don Carter Kendall Lane, sunny Florida. What a winter they've had here. No snow, 80 degrees outside, sun, maybe a shower or two, but nevertheless, a capacity crowd waiting to see the finals of the Greater Miami Sunshine Open. I'm Chris Schenkel along with Nelson Burton Jr., and what a relief, Bo, to come south and today to have a sort of refreshing field. None eligible for the Firestone Tournament of Champions, a local flavor in Storm DeVincent. So what can we really expect?
Well, Chris, as you said, this is the first time in over 2 years that one of the championship round finalists wasn't eligible for the Firestone, and all of them have one thing in common. They're playing the big hook ball, the big cranker, and they're sending the ball right out by the channel. So we've seen some dip off into the gutter and some big scores and some low scores and an unknown quality and quantity out there in these 5 players. So we could have some big ones, but we're going to have a new winner and a new man to the Firestone.
And with some non-winners, the pressure is really on. The lights are bright. We are live here, our 9th week of the Professional Bowlers Tour, and we go to that first match right now. Jeff Mattingly goes against 23-year-old Paul Gibson, our very first match. Mattingly, the number 5 finisher in this strong field in Miami. Crowd welcoming the 2, and it'll be Gibson shooting first, averaging 210 on this championship pair of 21 and 22. So the Bachelor will fire first. Watch the path of the ball. Not the deepest hook or break you'll see in the field of 5, but nevertheless, very effective shot.
Chris, Jeff Mattingly, we haven't seen him in a while. He's one of the original players that rolled the big hook ball out here with Holman and Roth, so he knows what to do with it, and he is exciting when he gets going.
In our finals last year, the 30-year-old, 5'11", 205 pounds. Look at that concentration. And there it is, the very first stroke down the channel on the right lane.
Oh, you got to know what's going through Jeffrey's mind. Look at this. As he sends the ball wide, you know, if you're a big hook ball player, you got to send it out, but not quite that far. It went down about 50 feet and then dipped off in the moat there, Chris. We may see more of those shots today, and they could be pivotal in the middle of a match. Sometimes we've seen matches ahead. A player had 40, 50 pins, drop one off, and turn the whole match around. So look out today.
See if he can get 10 now. Well, he got 9. So 9's in the first frame and immediately drops to an 11-pin deficit. Jeff Mattingly, don't worry, he will come back. He is the father of one child, he and his wife Debbie, and Ukiah, California, north of San Francisco, a bowling proprietor now, a house of 16 lanes.
The solid 10. On the spare shot that he attempted on the right-hand lane, he left the weak 10, the ball finishing a little late. Now, Jeff and Paul use medium speed and the big hook ball, and you'll see some of the other players that come on, especially Bob Hanley and the newcomer Storm DeVincent, using that big hook, sending it way out by the channel with a lot of speed.
A little bit to the left of center now, going for the 10-pin. No problem. Jeff Mattingly of Ukiah, California, originally from the northwest of the United States and from O'Fallon, Illinois. That's not too far from St. Louis, Bo.
No, I've known Paul for quite a bit of time. It's a few miles north of St. Louis in the Illinois belt of really a lot of good bowlers from that area. We've had even Buddy Bowmar and some of these players that are the older players up in that area of Illinois.
Going for a double. Crossing over and leaving the 6-pin, a former member of the University of Oklahoma golf team.
You see this ball is not quite near the channel like Jeff Mattingly's was on that previous shot, Chris. Paul Gibson a little apprehensive with the shot after watching Mattingly dip one off in the channel. Pulled it, went straight down the second arrow. Didn't even give himself a chance. Crossed over, left the 6-pin.
And with more speed, covers the 6-pin. Let's get a profile replay of his style.
Paul Gibson with a 5-step delivery, locks that arm down at the bottom and drops that right shoulder and loops the ball behind his back. But being young and strong, he gets it back into position as he comes straight through next to that left leg and follows through right towards the target. That's the important thing.
Father, a retired Air Force colonel. His mother, captain in the Air Force for 6 years. And they're backing Paul on the tour now as he leaves the 1, 2, 4, 10.
The washout, he's a little off, let's say, in his accuracy. Sent that one too wide, didn't come back, and he has a difficult spare, especially when you're not used to those television lights. Needs a few frames to settle down. I think Paul's going to be all right. You picked him to be very tough if he gets going through this first match, Chris, and I think you're right. This young man, once he gains momentum, could be a factor.
No, he has an open frame now. And Jeff Mattingly, his opponent, with an open in the first, a spare in the second. 5 pins separating these two professionals. This is our first match. The winner to meet the always exciting Pete Weber, 19 years old, from Florissant, Missouri. Then the winner of our second game will go against the young professional from Tamarack, Storm DeVincent. And a profile view of Jeff Mattingly.
Mattingly, one of the original crankers. Watch him cuff that ball with his wrist. Short backswing. He's a big, powerful guy, as you said, Chris. Has a good release, good follow-through, and really hooks the ball when it gets to the back end.
Hasn't won since the '78 Tucson Open. Overdue. And a big double. That strike in the 4th frame, and it's a 15-pin lead now by Mattingly. Well, we're going to pause a few seconds to hear these messages from some of the sponsors of the Professional Bowlers Tour.
If Ford and GM want to play rebates, fine with Chrysler. All GM and most Ford rebates need dealer contributions that could increase the price you pay. But all Chrysler rebates are 100% factory pay. And now get up to $750 on Dodge Aries K and Plymouth Reliant K. Up to $750 on new Chrysler LeBaron and Dodge 400. $500 on Dodge Omni and Plymouth Horizon Customs. Plus, free scheduled maintenance on these and all other new front-wheel drive cars and trucks. If you can find a better rebate, take it.
Okay, cross-X right onto left. In a ball game, I don't care how much I sweat. The more I sweat, the meaner I feel. Ooh. But off the field, I want to feel nice and dry. And I want to smell nice. That's why I use Speed Stick Super Dry Antiperspirant. It's the wide stick. Effective protection with more dryness to help fight wetness. And it goes on dry so you can get dressed right away. So get on the stick.
So dry, you can get dressed right away. Speed Stick Super Dry Antiperspirant.
By Menon.
It's Sears National Hardware Week sale. Save now on selected Craftsman power tools and accessories. Save $20 on this 3/8-inch variable speed reversible drill. Save $20 on this variable speed saber saw. Save $20 on this dual action pad sander. Save $10 on this 7-inch circular saw. They're all just $29.99 each. For these and lots of other values during Sears National Hardware Week, you can count on Sears.
Next, you'll see more perfect scores of 10 that have ever been scored in one gymnastics competition. Plus, Kentucky Derby hopefuls live in the Flamingo Stakes. ABC's Wide World of Sports is next.
And live next here on ABC, our first look at the current crop of 3-year-olds. 16 in the field, huge at Hialeah, not too far from here. The Flamingo Stakes, and another new face, Paul Gibson.
Chris, timely rider with Jeffrey Fell up. Could be very tough in the Flamingo. What do you think?
I think so.
Be a good one.
And that strike could make Paul Gibson of Ocala, Illinois, just a little tougher, too, because he's going against Mattingly, who has that double up. So now he can cut the lead to 5 if Gibson could strike in the 5th frame.
Dick Evans from the Miami Herald, Chris, asked me a question. What does a commercial do for a player in the championship round? You know, it can work both ways. For Paul Gibson, it's a relief. Give him some time to collect his thoughts. He's had 2 shaky frames. He threw a great shot in the 4th. Let's see if he can cut Mattingly's lead to 5 pins with another strike here in the 5th.
Does just that, the man that led after the 2nd round in the Miami Sunshine Open, Paul Gibson of Ocala, Illinois. Now Mattingly with a double up, shooting in the 5th frame, holding a 5-pin lead at this point. One of several bowlers that wear eyeglasses, and Jeff's eyesight is not what he'd certainly like it to be, but corrected, of course. Look how he cradles that ball.
When you have as much swing area to the right as Mattingly, you don't have to be a precision player.
Very, very high hit, leaving the 3, 6, 10.
The one thing Mattingly's had to work on is his spare shooting. You see the big wide hook he throws. Now, many of the players play the big wide hook, but can throw very hard. Mattingly has just a medium swing with speed with that short backswing, and sometimes has trouble with his spares. Watch how he flattens the ball out and cuts the hook down.
He stuck a little bit at the line and really lost his balance and chopped the 6-10. Earlier, we asked Jeff Mattingly what caused his slump and what he's done to pull out of it.
I believe the slump is because the lanes have been hooking a little more this year, and I came out of it real strong, I think, because I went to a lighter ball and I'm able to throw it a little firmer.
Another high hit, 4, 6, 7. And Bo, they just keep going to lighter equipment, don't they?
Well, the back ends on, or the last 15 feet on a PBA tour has been very dry, and so the players are trying to throw harder, and Jeff has to pick that speed up now. He's using a 15-pound ball.
And wasted no time and covered the 4-7. So for Jeff Mattingly, it's his 2nd open frame. Gibson is back in the lead by 21, can increase it now with a double up, shooting in the 6th. Paul Gibson.
Really a nice young gentleman. Well liked by all the players. Can take a 31-pin lead with 1 more strike.
Does just that. The 23-year-old with the epaulets on his yellow bowling shirt, leading by 31. And of course, as I indicated earlier, he's the product of a military family. His mother a captain, his father a colonel. He has a sister at Southern Illinois University, Lynn, who's 20, and she is in the ROTC program.
Well, our country should be safe with those kind of people at the helm, Chris.
Right. Going for 4 in a row. Slid by just a touch, and he has left the 2-pin on the left lane. And the alternate is from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Shot a 270 in the 42nd game of the championship round and moved from 12th down to 6th, just missing the top 5. Mike Albee, steady player.
And the 160-pounder knocks down the 2-pin, marks for the spare in the 7th frame. We're in our very first game. The winner will be meeting colorful Pete Weber. Before we continue this game, we're going to take a pause and this message.
North slope's clear and head wall's clear.
And I guess it's Miller time. Last one down buys.
Right.
Miller time. Time for the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life.
When it's time to relax.
What took you so long?
One beer stands clear. Miller beer. If you got the time. We got the beer.
Has this ever happened to you? Your car stalls out. The solution could be as simple as this. Carefully dry off the ignition wires from top to bottom and dry off the distributor cap, the inside too if possible. Learn more ways to get yourself out of trouble in the on-the-spot repair book, free from participating Shell dealers. Come to Shell for answers.
Now, Senator, let's reason together. We can do that and still plan to watch the professional bowlers. Yes, next Saturday, the Professional Bowlers Tour travels to our nation's capital for the $110,000 Fairlanes Open. 160 pros will be on hand to try and dethrone defending champion Wayne Webb. We'll bring you live coverage of the championship round next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern Time here on ABC.
Our ABC telecast is coming to you live from the southwestern section of sprawling Miami, Florida. It's the Sunshine Open. We're into the late stages now of our first game. Jeff Mattingly trailing by 30. Open frame in the 6th, now shooting in the 7th. Strike in the 7th for Mattingly. Boy, he needs it. He has to string him now because he's trailing Paul Gibson.
All right, Mattingly picked up the speed that time. He was very slow in the 5th and 6th frames. He realizes what he has to do. He has to throw some strikes, put some pressure on Gibson. Picked up the speed, increased the loft, kept the ball in play. Now he needs a strike in the 8th to cut the lead from 30 down to 20. In that only PBA title that Mattingly won, he lapped the field, leading by more than 600 pins after 42 games with no championship television round. He won it straight up.
8th frame, left lane. I knew immediately that it wasn't the shot he wanted. It is a 5-9. Replay the shot.
Chris, this is an effect of that shot he threw in the channel in the 1st frame. He's starting to spray the ball all over, but he has a fear of throwing it too wide. We spoke to a couple of the players about that. If you throw one in a channel, it's hard to keep giving it room.
All right. Mattingly with spare in the 8th frame, and now up is the leader, Paul Gibson. Average 210 on this championship pair. And we have both Pete Weber and newcomer Storm DeVincent warming up. Ten-pin.
Gibson, a rhythm player. He walks very slowly and then tries to energize the ball from the top of his backswing. and maintain that control by rhythm and muscle as he comes through it. Now, the last few shots, he's relaxed much better, and he looks real good, Chris. All he needs is to throw 3 good counts and make the spares, and he'll have Mattingly out of the way, and maybe he'll get loose.
Winner of this game will meet the youngest in the field, 19-year-old Pete Weber. Wasn't that a beautiful shot of how that ball was rotating and moved down? We asked Gibson earlier that he makes the top 24 often, but why first time in the finals?
In previous times in the top 24, I wasn't able to win many match games. This week I was able to win most of my matches, and with a 30-pin bonus, I was able to stay up in the top 5 most of the week.
The 30-pin bonus, Chris, is given for every time you beat a player in the 24-man round after the first cut.
Foundation 9th now, first game. Crossing over here on the left lane.
Gets a break, crosses over onto the Brooklyn side, leaves the 5-9. The head pin takes out the 5 and the 9. Tremendous break at this point. Mattingly now has to strike.
Well, there's one. 133 through the 8th, and that strike in the 9th now for 30-year-old Jeff Mattingly.
As the scoreboard shows, Mattingly must strike. He has a possible 193 with 3 more strikes. That would force Gibson to mark in the 10th.
No, leaving the 2-pin.
Jeff Mattingly, the best he can do is a spare and a strike for 173. Gibson just has to get 1 pin on the next 2 shots to be the winner.
So the loser of this, our first match, will receive $4,000. So it's a 173, disappointing 173 for fine professional Jeff Mattingly. Ukiah, California. Fine American Indian name, north of San Francisco. So, Paul Gibson, in his first championship round appearance on live television, has won the first game. We'll have his final score. But let's pause a few seconds to hear these messages from some of the sponsors of the Professional Bowlers Tour.
The Professional Bowlers Tour. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Speed Stick Super Dry Antiperspirant. Goes on so dry, you can get dressed right away. Speed Stick by minute. By Sears Roebuck & Company. You can count on Sears. And by United Airlines, introducing United Air Express, the overnight package service that packages prefer. Now back to Chris Schenkel.
Here at the Don Carter Kendall Lanes, Paul Gibson has won the first match in this $100,000 tournament with a 222 to Mattingly's 173. There you see the first breakdown, 13 to the winner, 7,500, 55, 45, and Mattingly with $4,000. Next, Gibson against Pete Weber. The PBT will continue after this message from one of our sponsors and station identification.
We are very proud of you, Peabody. Thank you, sir. Your design of the Firestone 721 is brilliant.
Well,
a tire using 7 around 2 wrapped by 1. Genius. Oh. 24 million on the road, Peabody. And we're grateful.
Chief,
Just one more thing.
Sure.
Now, Peabody, we want you to top it.
Top it?
The Firestone 721. It's one tough tire to top.
Don't throw your money away on cheap trash bags. Instead, get True Value Hardware Store's Bargain of the Month. 15 extra-strength True Value bags in 33-gallon size, plus 12 free kitchen can bags in 44-quart size, all for just $2.99 while supplies last. and get their perfect companions. This Lustroware flip-top wastebasket for just $4.99 and this rugged True Value 32-gallon trash can now just $12.88 at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Israeli Defense Minister Ariel Sharon and Zbigniew Brzezinski with David Brinkley Sunday.
First game is completed. Paul Gibson has defeated Jeff Mattingly with 8 strikes, 222 to Mattingly's 173. Now, youngest and lightest in this field of 5 in our live telecast from Miami, Pete Weber at 19 and 135 pounds. There he is on the right. He'll be shooting first, getting a round of applause from the people here. He, the young fellow with the long, high backswing.
He is exciting. One of the great strike balls to come on the tour in a number of years. He can really move the pins.
He couldn't believe that the 10 didn't go. That was on the left lane of this championship pair.
Other than great natural ability, one of the things that makes Peter so good, Chris, is his speed he uses at spares. Many of the crankers throw the ball slow and don't speed it up to cut down the hook. Peter throws it extra hard at spares, and he's a pretty good shooter.
We've had 8 tournaments this year in our 20th anniversary year, and Pete Weber has been on 3 of the 8 telecasts. Now, the winner of the first game, 222 to 173, Paul Gibson. A couple of boys from the Mississippi River, head to head. Powerful and impressive. Watch his footwork.
Paul Gibson, a muscle player. Watch how methodical his footwork is. He steps across in his second step, then slides back underneath the shot on his 5th sliding step. Falls off balance a little bit to the right, but that's after the ball is gone. These two players have met many times in the very tough Midwestern region of the PBA.
Trying for a double. High hit, leaving the 3-6.
We've seen the importance of spares many times on the PBT Tour Championship round, and it looks like that's going to be the difference today. Nobody has really zeroed in on the pocket as young Pete Weber studies a camera or something, but the spares have been the difference. Jeff Mattingly could not make the spares in the first match, and he went down to defeat to Paul Gibson. Let's see how Gibson does cross lane.
All right. Striking a spare for Gibson in our second game. The winner to meet Storm DeVincent, and then the tournament leader Bob Handley. Pete Weber now. Spare working, shooting in the second. Youngest of the Weber clan. Don Carter right behind him. And a 4-pin.
Speaking of Don Carter right behind Pete Weber, last night in the second-to-last position round match, Pete Weber was bowling against Bruce Carter. And we remember the days when the great Don Carter bowled against Pete's daddy, Dick Weber, who isn't with us this week.
Being honored tonight, put into the Indiana Bowling Hall of Fame. About time. And Bo, it's just too bad we can't be there to help induct him.
Here's a style that looks a little bit like his dad. Chris, remember Dick with that powerful hook ball when he first came out. Didn't have quite that high a backswing, but had one of the highest backswing of his era. And young Peter with that tremendous turn and follow through. And who can say anything more about the determination of the Weber family?
And Dee Dee, his wife. Very intense. Good time to call on Dad now.
We spoke about the dangers of the big hook ball when you're not